Hello, my name is Timmy Morrison, and this video is about the development of cosmology. What cosmology is the branch of astrophysics that studies the origin, evolution, and structure of the universe. The origin of the universe has undoubtedly been one of the most highly regarded issues among societies for nearly as long as the complex brain has been in existence. Generally speaking, the prevailing hypothesis for the world and its many creatures was that some form of deity, be it God, Allah, etc., created the world. These deities designed the universe in such a way that Earth was placed far below the heavens, and that there are distinct locations for dead people after death, both good and bad. As generations rose, developed, and faded, so too did the theories or presuppositions of Earth as the citizens of Earth saw it. As techniques and instruments improved, so did the abilities to note and observe many of the phenomena which were ascribed exclusively to a higher power or force. As these technologies improved over time, the general level of understanding increased to such a level that became exponential over time. This is to say that once a drastic change in instruments or theories was acquired, that many hypotheses, theories, and ultimately laws would be discovered. A tremendous step was taken forward in the field of cosmology through the works of American astronomer Edwin Hubble. In fact, his discovery of the expanding universe has had an integral role in the cosmology field. This rapid dispersion of matter suggests that at one specific point in time, the entirety of the universe was somehow compounded in one mass of hot gas and was suddenly dispersed into the current, ever-expanding universe we observe today. From Hubble's discoveries, many scientists began to expand, alter, and improve the techniques and theories which were used to discover the unknown in the past, which ultimately led to the development of the scientific process as we know it today. This belief of a once homogeneous massive galaxy is not accepted by each and every single scientist in the theory of time, however. A few scientists specifically, Vorontsov, Villeneuve, and Fred Hoyle, believe that the expanding universe is a result of what they call, quote, a continuous creation of matter in intergalactic space, Garneau, 1952. This suggestion makes the notion that somewhere in intergalactic space there is, for lack of better terminology, an entity which is creating and expelling matter outward. The expanding universe theory is becoming an increasingly popular trend throughout society. However, there still remains to be divided a population which finds difficulties in attributing the unknown to anything but an ethereal source. Concurrent with the issue of an expanding universe is the issue of religious beliefs in their consistent habits of refuting any possible scientific evidence which might derail the assumption that there is a possibility of a supernatural force which governs the universe. Nearly all religions have a mutual region in which coincides with one another, which is that a deity, whether it be God or otherwise, developed and created the universe such that mankind can exist and flourish. Federmanil said in his 2006 writing that, as creator, God actualizes his will by simply speaking. He says, "Let it be," and so on. "By the word of the heavens were made, and all their host in the breath of his mouth. For he spoke, and it came to be. He commanded, and stood forth." Many religions are similar to Christianity in the regard that they too believe their Creator has shaped their lives around His will, an example of which can be Christianity and Hinduism, which can be more easily understood with interpretation from the following excerpt. Hoyle, in his 1948 writing, states, "On standard accounts, Christianity maintains a strong commitment to creation ex nihilo, creation out of nothing, whereas Hinduism affirms that the world emerges out of Brahman, the impersonal and ultimate reality at the heart of non-dualistic Hinduism." Elaborating further, I believe that this quote properly explains how, despite their differences in theology, that the distinct religions do indeed differ to a centralized being for initial creation. The ubiquitous mindset, which is generally adopted throughout religions, is that they are, in a way, esoteric between a particular religion and not others. The scientific and religious groups are often understood as being polar opposites, such that a belief or theology of the creation of the universe, planets, and life are vastly different with little to no overlapping. At the present time, I believe that it is difficult for science to conclusively prove the existence or lack thereof of a supernatural creation. It is for that reason alone which most religious followers cling to the idea which appears to bring resolve to the mysterious question of what created the universe and how did it happen and why did it happen. Conversely, thanks to the numerous advances in technology and science, scientists have recently begun to bring some logical and replicable explanations for why things in the universe are the way they are. Ultimately, I believe that it is the goal of science to definitively prove how and why the universe was created, be it DoD or not. A quote from Jewett in his 1991 writing states that the type of conjecture which presents itself somewhat insistently is that the centers of the nebulae, or galaxies, are of the nature of singular points, at which matter is poured into our universe in some other entirely extraneous spatial dimension, so that to a denizen of our universe they appear as points with which matter is being continually created. The emergence of philosophies such as the expanding universe model mentioned above created quite a bit of confusion on the topic of universe creation in the scientific realm. This is mostly due to the fact that it ceases to provide an origin for creation, but rather an unanswered question. Ultimately, the religious perspective of creation appears to provide a much more clear explanation of creation, whereas science has not yet fulfilled all of the explanations. With that said, much of the scientific community will automatically defer away from the religious approach simply because it lacks substance that can be tested through a scientific process, hypothesis testing, and repetition. With this being said, the religious community perhaps has a greater peace of mind simply because their belief manages to tie up all those loose ends of creation which science has not yet been successful enough to do yet. In concluding this paper, I hope that I give some personal resolve to the situation by summarizing key points on both stances, and allow for a generally unbiased conclusion of the likelihood of each situation being true. Religious suggestion that Earth was created and designed by an ethereal being appears to, at the present time, still provide many solutions and explanations for things that remain unknown, largely the purpose and origins of the universe. Spinning that ideology on its head completely is a scientific community which bases theories upon repeatable and irrefutable experiments in order to create an environment which reduces or eliminates any uncertainty in their research. The result of my findings is that religious environment allows for a much more thorough understanding and reassurance of our creation and purpose, but neglects to provide a substantial and verifiable evidence of its claims to be true. Ultimately, I would venture to agree with the side of the scientific community in their understanding and belief of creation because it allows for the common person to verify that research has been done and that it is replicable.